Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Timeless, Season 1, Episode 6. It's called The Watergate Tape. Full spoilers for the episode. So we're back to an element of US history that I actually am relatively familiar with.
Oh, should hope so.
Yeah. Well, last time it was the Alamo, and I don't think either of us really had a great sense of what that was.
No, not particularly.
Yeah. Whereas this one's a lot more famous, Deep Throat, the whole Nixon scandal and all the rest of it. Mainly, if you've seen All the President's Men, you have a decent idea about what's going on.
I have not seen it.
Have you not? No. It's an
Should
alright
I?
movie. Yeah, it's Robert Redford and, who's the other guy that's in that? Dustin Hoffman.
Oh, okay. Maybe I will see it.
What's scene? And it was made, 2 years after this?
That's
After the actual
a very,
event.
very fresh account of
Yeah.
it then.
Yeah, they did that really quickly. Yeah. Actually, maybe been four, but even then, that's still pretty quick.
That's a pretty quick turnaround. Yeah.
But yeah, so they go back to 1972, around the whole Watergate scandal, and they bring up this thing, and I'm not sure if this is true, this whole missing 18 minutes of the tape, because the whole idea is that Nixon was recording everything in his office, and this is, one of the elements that got him caught. But there's 18 minutes missing, at least in the show. I don't know if that's a real fact. It sounds like it could be,
Yeah.
but I don't actually know for sure. I've never heard this before. But so the idea is that Flynn has went back here to possibly retrieve this information. I actually really liked that this episode really shook things up in terms of the formula.
Yeah, it really helped it feel fresh in an idea that this show is already kind of maybe getting a little stale.
Yeah, it's very formulaic, and I think by having Flynn immediately capture them and then go, oh yeah, I've already got a tape. Here's a tape. Let's play it. Within the first 10 minutes, they're listening to the tape. That's not what the whole episode's really about.
Yeah.
And that was actually kind of cool. It kind of turned it on its head. And we hear Nixon talk about Rittenhouse, which is cool. It advances the plot. But what the whole also does, as far as, it's also intriguing. We hear learn more about Rittenhouse, but in terms of just the character dynamics between the three core cast, their entire relationship is completely blown apart and reassembled in this episode.
Oh, absolutely.
That was a perfectly timed hiccup, Connor.
I know, I'm sorry.
So the two, Wyatt and Rufus get really upset with Lucy because Lucy didn't mention that she'd spoken to Flynn a couple of times, and she certainly did not mention the journal, which she has apparently written in the future
Yes.
that she has no knowledge of, which works really well because we know that Rufus right now is feeling guilty about a secret, and Lucy, he's yelling at Lucy for not telling the truth, and I'm like, Rufus, you might want to shut up because I've got a feeling soon you're going to have this same conversation.
Yeah, and can I just say, I love how they did Watergate, all these recordings when he's doing the recording, and it's just it ties together nicely, doesn't it?
That was a nice touch. Actually, to go back to the start of the episode, I really liked that we got to see a little bit of Rufus's home life at the start. We got to see his mom. We got, I did think the Rittenhouse guy threatening him again and his family was a little bit the same as last time. It was a little bit repetitious.
Yeah,
But
I think it was important for us to see the family just so we kind of had. I mean, we get obviously you're threatening your family. That's
no.
bad, but it's important for us to connect to them on a more personal level.
Oh no, I loved that part. That's what I was saying. I really liked the
Yeah.
seeing them. It was just when they went into the car and Rittenhouse made the same threats again. I was like, well, this was kind of the exact same threat you made last time.
Yeah, that's true.
That said, I did like Mason sort of being there for it. It was kind of interesting to see how he played off of it. It was like he was protecting Rufus.
But he was almost playing the good cop.
He was playing good cop, so it does make us question: is he actually a good guy who is also roped into this, or is he just playing good cop?
Yeah, because I'm genuinely not sure after that scene.
Yeah, it's interesting. And also, Lucy's father, the name in the paper was not. I was so sure it was going to be Flynn. I was so sure. Turns out that's not the case. More on that at the end of the episode. But hey, it was a reasonable guess. Of course, one of the things I like though, when because the other thing that changes up the plot is he keeps Wyatt captive and says, "Right, you two go and find this document that Nixon's talking about on the tape. We want this doc." And I like that because having them in a room together, it gave Flynn a chance to actually develop his character a little bit more, because not only does he tell him about his backstory, they have this odd connection because they both have this tragedy, they both have this thing where they lost the people they love, and it's like a reluctant bonding almost, because even though Wyatt's been the hard ass the entire time, there's still a kind of a bonding thing going on there.
Yeah, because it also has the idea that they're both just, they're both just soldiers as part of a larger army, essentially. And they feel the same connection because of that, whereas they're not the ones giving the orders, they're not the ones in control, they're just kind of doing what they've got to do.
Yeah, but the idea that, the reason why Flynn's trying to take out Rittenhouse is because his belief is that if he takes out Rittenhouse entirely, maybe his family will come back,
Yeah.
So I like that. It really shook things up, and even something as simple as well as when Rufus and Lucy go and try and like speak to the Black Panthers and all that, it's Rufus is the one who says, "No, you stay outside. I'll go in. I'm the one that fits in this time."
I like the same line as the first episode, I think.
Yeah, actually, what I really liked is when they're going to meet the doc, who turns out to be a person who's a doctor, not an actual document. Like that was like a sort of misinterpretation on their part. I loved it when he's explaining Lucy, "Oh, that's just my piece on the side," and Lucy's reaction to that.
I think one of my favorite things, when he goes into the bar, his voice just drops like an octave when he starts talking to them. He just drops it right down.
Try to sound manly.
Yeah.
Even later on when when they're saying goodbye to them, which by the way, the Black Panther they're talking to is the actor who played Felix on Quarry, which was cool to see. But even when he just says "you dig," at the end of the sentence, it's just like, yeah, you're trying to sound cool, yeah. But I really appreciated how this one was not the exact same, because I feel like, especially with Flynn, I feel like having the new situation where Flynn was with them the whole time, or at least with Wyatt the whole time and talking to him, it was different, because every episode up until now it's, Flynn's around doing something and we keep just missing him,
Yeah.
So it was nice to have, it was really, really good to have something different than that.
Yeah. I think it was different as well, like we had it be Rufus, the one that was, in place, instead of the one that was on the outside, like all the rest of the episodes. Which is interesting, I feel like, in this episode, because, like I said, they were already doing something different with the Flynn stuff. So they could have saved that for another episode and, done like 2 different ones to keep them feeling fresh, but they've done them both in one, which is a bold choice.
Yeah, which I also kind of like that both Lucy's secret and Rufus's secret both came out in the same episode. Because it did give us this explosive thing where at the end of the episode, Wyatt doesn't trust either of them. Like, he's completely disillusioned,
And also I like the idea that it's not dragging either of them out now. It's like, right, no, cards on the table, this is it, move forward.
Because I was a little bit worried after Lucy's secret came out, and then, Rufus was kind of, and I was having that thought where, Rufus, shut up, because you're going to have this conversation soon. I was worried that we're going to drag this out for another, 3 or 4 episodes. And then it would break up the team again. Whereas now we have them broken up. They're the worst possible, point right now, and we can rebuild from here. So it'll actually be quite uplifting when they do eventually start trusting each other again for, whatever brings them together again. But no, I really like that. Completely changed the dynamic. But of course, at the end of the episode, we find out before we get to the twist. We find out that the Rittenhouse guy was actually the guy, just much younger, who was on the phone to Rufus in the past when he was.
I thought that was really obvious, but I liked it anyway.
Yeah, it was really obvious because he says he's been waiting 44 years to ask this question. It's just a really interesting. Like, if you think about his thought process here, obviously we know that the future changes whenever they go back to the past and change something.
Yeah.
Right? So he goes back to the past and he phones him and gives him information. He says, report, right? So obviously that changes history so that when he comes back to the present, okay, I remember having these phone calls. I've been waiting for you to tell me this. But it's really funny that he also is the one in the present day that told him to do this. So in a weird way, he's affecting his own past. And the past him, doesn't know maybe... because the past him expects this. He expects reports.
Do you know what I find interesting? I was speculating while I was watching. Because Rufus starts saying, I don't know how to explain. I wonder if at some point, in the near future from 2016 present, someone from Rittenhouse has gone back to the start of Rittenhouse's, the start of the organisation and said, look, time travel, here's the thing. We can prepare you for a certain amount of things.
It does make sense that at some point someone from Rittenhouse has went back in time and prepped them on a lot of different things because they're very all knowing. So it makes
Yeah.
sense that
Also, when they say when Rittenhouse was founded, can you remember what? I know it was late 1700s.
it was like 1770,
Was it 76?
maybe it was 76, 78, something like that.
I'm pretty sure that's America's Independence Day, like when it that was that year.
All right, okay.
So they've been around literally since like the birth of the nation there.
Yeah, well, it's like Flynn says, they're so intertwined that if someone gets cancer, you have to attack the body to cure it.
Yeah. But I just thought it stuck out to me. I was like, I need to check, but I can't remember the exact year. But I know it was like late 1700s, and that's about when America became independent. So,
Oh, by the way, very very smart, cost effective. This is the same room you were in when Lincoln was getting shot. Just slightly redecorate it a little.
fantastic in terms of like reusing your sets,
Yeah.
but it also made complete sense in the story as well. I love it.
Yeah, because they're in Washington again, so yeah,
Exactly.
it makes sense. So yeah, but no, that's really cool. So yeah, the final scene. Lucy makes the decision to actually knock on the door and see who her father is, and lo and behold, it is Rittenhouse person. What was his name? Was it Jacob Jeremiah, something like
I can't remember his name.
that? I'll remember it for next week, guys. But he answers the door, or sorry, his son answers the door, presumably her brother, and then he comes to the door and says hello, and of course we know who it is. And after she like chickens out and leaves, he makes a phone call, presumably to his Rittenhouse brethren, and said, "You wouldn't believe who just showed up at my door." It's interesting because I think this actually works really well as to like giving her motives later on for fighting against Rittenhouse, because it makes it more personal.
Yeah, she's fighting against her own father now, rather than just an anonymous entity.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see what he does or what she sees from him that inspires her to, properly take up the fight against Rittenhouse.
Yeah. You mentioned how the team's all coming together. They're going to come together again.
Yeah.
And they are until she decides to go off with Flynn. And I don't know if the whole team will.
Well, I think that's hard to say at this point because I feel like eventually they might.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. But I don't know. I don't know that they will. I can see one of them being like, no.
Because I think it's very clear even at this stage that even they are like anti-Rittenhouse. Like, because, I mean, Rufus is having his family threatened. I feel like he'll be probably quite quick to jump onto that bandwagon.
Yeah, it's more Wyatt that I can see being a bit,
But I feel like, if Rittenhouse is the ultimate villain, I feel like the team will unite and, go down that route.
Yeah, possibly. I can see them just splitting one off, just for a while at least.
Oh, yeah, I can see there being bumps in the road and it,
Yeah.
But I think ultimately they will converge on the same side.
Okay.
But then again, who knows how many seasons this is going to go? That Rittenhouse could be dealt with at the end of the season, and we could have new threats for next season. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think the reason I'm thinking Wyatt is because I feel like Flynn would fill a similar role to Wyatt on the team, and I feel like it'd be, that'd be an interesting way to shake it up a bit. Have him essentially replace Wyatt, and then have him still working for Rittenhouse against them.
You think he would work for Rittenhouse though?
That's me. I don't know why or how, but I feel like I can see them doing it anyway somehow.
I can see it kind of happening, but I don't think Wyatt would, willingly work for Rittenhouse. I feel like he may be against them for a while, but it won't just be like, oh, I'm evil. It'll be.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. We're only seeing Rittenhouse from this perspective at the minute. But what if they talk to him and they like give him, at least from their opinion, reasons as to why they're doing it, and he goes, "Sure, I see your point." Because we don't know what their motivation is at this point.
To control things, from the seams of it.
But for what purpose? For the sake of control, or do they think it's some sort of greater good thing? We don't know.
Right now, I'm getting the impression it's just for the sake of control, but yeah, I mean,
it could well be, but
it's going to be hard to swallow as a viewer though, because we've seen them threaten Rufus's family.
yeah, but that doesn't mean. But maybe they do think it is like a greater good thing.
I don't know. But we'll find out. So that's Timeless. This is probably one of the most interesting episodes of the show so far. So
Definitely.
credit there. So yeah, let us know what you thought of the episode and stuff in the comments below. Like and subscribe and all that. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.